Welcome back to Fourth and Farv. And today I'm joined with Kansas City Chiefs Ring of Hall of Famer, Mr. Christian Okoye. Mr. Okoye, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me.
Well, I appreciate you. I mean, you're in the film actually, Concussed American Dream. You tell the story of your ex having your son play football, and I'm curious now to how did it all end? Did he continue playing because he had concussions, or is he done?
He's done. He had too many concussions, so he's done. He's not playing football. He's just working, which is good because it's football is not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
Well, let's talk about your career a little bit. I mean, coming out, you're a specimen, and what's interesting is you never played high school ball, and I don't think you played till your sophomore, junior year in college, where you were a track athlete, and they recruited you to play football, Uh, and so like a lot of people say is, hey, there's people like you, which is very rare that come out.
Yeah, it was very difficult playing a game that I didn't know anything about. And like you said, I started playing my junior year in college. And prior to that, I didn't know anything about the game. When I first came to this country, I hated the game because I didn't know anything about it. It was strange to me. But all my friends loved football. Um, so when I couldn't go to the Olympics in '84, is when I decided I'm going to try football, which my friends have been trying to encourage me to get into, and I hated the game, so I didn't. So I'm glad that I stuck my head into it, even though when I started playing, it was extremely difficult for me to stay with it. But I was encouraged again by my coaches and my friends. Um, and because of the encouragement, I'm here.
The nickname, the Nigerian Nightmare, did that come in college or was it in the NFL you got the nickname?
It was in the NFL. It was from my teammates in Kansas City. Irv Eidman, if you remember him, he played at UCLA. He's the first one that started calling me Nigerian Nightmare because of the way I was practicing. And from there, it just took off. ESPN came to Kansas City to do a story on me, and they were interviewing a bunch of players and coaches. And Irv Eidman blotted out Nigerian Nightmare, so that took off from there.
Do people still call you that today that you see from years past?
Well, people call me that, yes, jokingly, yeah, they do.
What was it about your style? Because, I mean, you put your head down. At what point did you say, I'm just going to try to run over everyone? Because before that, again, you were a track athlete, and now here you are competing with guys on a gridiron.
I know. My style of player then was in such a way that I told myself, 3 downs, make a first down, 3 downs, make a first down. So every time I touch the ball, I must get a positive yardage. And the only way to go get positive yardage is go straight. I was a big guy. I cannot make people miss as much as I would want to. Weighing 260 pounds, it was difficult for me to do. So I decided that when I get the ball, I'm going to find a spot and make 3 yards at least. So that was my game plan every time.
But for someone that wasn't, I mean, in track, you don't have to hit anybody else. You're competing in different types of events. But when that came to mind, when you start going head to head, how was that for you? Did you enjoy the contact at first, or was it? I mean, for like I played football, not at your guys' level, but I know the
Yeah.
first time I was hit in football, I was like, "Oh wow, this feels different." You could feel your brain rattle a little bit.
Yeah, playing football is not normal. It's not something that that is meant for human beings. Of course, when you run full speed into somebody else who is running full speed towards you. But that's just the way I saw the game, and so the mindset was, if I'm playing the game, if I'm on the field, I might as well play the best way I could. And if I didn't play the way I played it, it's the next thing is just quit, just leave, you know, because I can't play as a smaller back, like I said. So when I didn't enjoy hitting people, and I didn't enjoy after the game or practice having a bunch of bumps and bruises, going back home to ice myself. No, I didn't enjoy that part of it because the game that I love, soccer, you didn't have that. You have a little bit of it, but not as football. So I just had to deal with it. I made up my mind. I'm gonna have bumps and bruises, so I'm gonna swell, you know, play the game the way I think it should be played for a player my size.
Right, I mean, a lot of people say you look like a linebacker. I had Ken Harvey on, and he said you were known people were talking like, "That guy's not a running back, he's more a linebacker," the big neck roll that you had on, so which I think is intimidating within itself, but was there any linebackers or D linemen or safeties that hit you really hard and where you still remember to this day?
Man, everybody hit me hard when I played. Everybody did because being a big back, you don't go down easy. So after the first guy hits you, or after you hit the first guy, maybe he's hanging on you, and other guys will be taking shots at you before you go down. So that's what I had to deal with. But I'm gonna tell you, people always ask me, "What's your, the biggest hit or something like that?" People that you run into that make you remember them. I would say when we went to Chicago and played the Bears, that was one play that I had against Richard Dent. We knocked each other out in that play. When we got up, I was walking towards my huddle, and Richard was following me. So he was a little woozy. I was a little woozy, and I remember Steve DeBerg, quarterback, called the play, same play again, because Marty is used to repeating plays if he was successful. So he called the same play again. I told him, I said, no, I can't do it. He says, are you okay? I said, I'm okay, but I can't run a play right now. I mean, a run play. So we had to throw the ball. But years later, I was talking to Richard. He said, man, I was so glad you guys didn't run the ball the next play. I said, Richard, man, I felt the same way that you did because I had to cancel the run play they called. I couldn't run it. So it was one of those things that would kind of had a chuckle until this day we talk about it.
Was Marty upset that there was an audible called?
No, he wasn't upset. He wasn't upset because I think he understood.
The era you played in, I mean, you played against some other big hitters. You guys played Denver twice. Steve Atwater, who's known as one of the biggest hitters as well. I don't know if you played against Ronnie Lott, but were there other guys that you're like, "Well, that guy can smack"?
Well, yeah, Ronnie Lott was one of them. Steve Atwater is one of them, and Dennis Smith, that played with Steve Atwater, was also a heavy hitter. And actually, Dennis Smith was the guy we played game planned more against than Steve Atwater every time we played Denver. So yeah, Dennis Smith will bring it.
And today in the NFL, there's only 2 practices out of the whole year where they can go in full pads and hit.
Yeah,
When players see that today, and I know, like Brett said, there were some coaches you hit all the time, like every single
yes.
practice in 2 days you hit. What was your experience like for you, did was that the similar experiences? And then what do you think about the 2 practices where you can hit a year now?
Man, I wish I was playing football today. If I was playing today, I could have played a little longer than I did. And I tell you, when we were playing, it was a gladiator sport. I I hated the fact that we hit all the time. And with Marty Schottenheimer, we practiced. We had long practices, and those long practices was in full pads, and we're hitting. I'm talking about 1-on-1, 9-on-7, full team practices and stuff. You have to, wear full pads and go at it. you know. And oh man, it's just practices wore me out. Games were easy, but practices are the things that wore me out. And doing that the whole of my career was just something that I couldn't see. Um, but a lot of guys, come out of the game very healthy, and but some don't. As you get older, then you start feeling all the bumps and bruises.
Even today with the less practices, there are players retiring early. There news broke that Chicago Bears starting center Drew Dahlman is retiring at the age of 27 after 5 seasons. And then you have other instances with Patrick Willis, you have Luke Kuechly, you have other guys that are just they're hanging it up before 30 who are all pros or they still have a lot of time left in their tank. Is it
Yeah.
because of the money, or do you think it's also because of they wanna take care of their brains?
I'm sure they want to take care of the brains. I mean, they've seen what football can do to you, can do to your brain. And also, in this day and age, when you play in the NFL, when you play 3, 4, 5 years, you've made enough money to take you for the rest of your life if you invest it. So I'm sure those guys who are retiring have done well with their money, and which is extremely important because you don't want to sacrifice your health and then come out not having anything, which is happened in the past. But now that the money is there, the money is being paid out to these players, it makes sense for them to retire early. And I encourage whoever wants to retire early should do it because, um, I mean, even though they don't practice anymore like we did back in the day, the game is still there. They're still hitting during the game on Sundays, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Thursdays, whenever they play, they're still hitting. So the danger is still there. So I I applaud those guys who are retiring early because they have their game plan straight up.
I'm always surprised, Christian, when people watch the film Concussed American Dream. You said so many good things. You're in there a good amount of the film because you were raw, you were real, you were profound, and I don't want if people wanna watch it to hear what you have to say. I mean, we even have an animated version of you in the
Really?
movie at times, but some of the things you talked about was having these CTE symptoms of low like you said before you played football, one of your quotes is like, "I was always happy." I didn't know what depression was. I didn't even know how to define that, and then
Yeah.
afterward, you're like, "Oh, I feel different. Now I know what it feels like." And now when you see, for example, Brett, obviously a lot of people know he has Parkinson's
Yeah.
and he's dealing with that, playing 20 years without missing a start. Do you still have those same fears that might be creeping up? When is your time to go on a massive decline?
Well, we all feel the same way. I remember talking to Eric Dickerson, and we saying to ourselves, man, I hope that day never comes. But the fear is that it might come. And as we speak, I'm being tested for Alzheimer's disease and stuff. And so I don't know if I have it because all this forgetfulness that I have, it's there. So it's one of those things that the players that I know and friends that I played with and against, we all fear that that day never comes.
Do you think, since the last time I interviewed you for the movie, that your memory has gotten a little bit worse than it was 5 years ago, or do you think it's about the same?
It's gotten a little worse, yeah, because I do see a doctor up in Orange County, California, and I get tested, and he tells me so. And he gave me some medications to be taking and some things to be doing to help out. So I'm just active. I'm very active in if it's going to come to delay it some, or at least not to have it as bad. I don't know. I don't. It's just one of those things that you have to keep working at.
When you look back now, and I know your thoughts a few years ago was you kinda wish that you didn't play football. Do you still have that same sentiment, or because the money you made, has your mind changed? Like, "No, I'm glad I played because I made money that I wouldn't have been able to make anywhere else."
Well, yes. When I said that I wish I never played football, I will say it's because of what it's doing to people, what I've seen it do to people, like Brett Favre and many other people who are suffering because they played the game. That's reason why I said I wish I never played because I was afraid that will be me in the near future. But on the other hand, I am glad that I played in a way because football is one of those things that millions want to play in the NFL, and you're one of those few that got selected to play. So it's an opportunity to do something that many people want to do. And sometimes you get lucky doing it, and sometimes you don't. So, but it's one of those things that you have to, manage as you manage life.
Your former team, the Chiefs, they've been awfully good the past, 6, 7 years or so because of Patrick Mahomes, and these
Yeah.
guys today, most of them have never watched you play in real time because, time is starting to, elongate. Do you ever go around Kansas City, and do they know who you are and recognize you, and what's that type of reception like?
Yeah, they recognize me. I do go to Kansas City. I go to all the home games, and I do go down on the field. I meet some of the players sometimes, and yeah, they do know who I am. One thing with Kansas City is that we're very big on ambassadors. Former players coming back and belonging to ambassadors group who go out in the city doing a bunch of charity work. So that's one of the things that Lamar Hunt and now Clark Hunt is encouraging the players, former Chiefs players, to get involved in. So I am one of those ambassadors. So when I go back, I do meet some of the current players, and you know, it's bring much pleasure to me.
Have you been around Mahomes and the Chris Jones, and what do those guys say? What are they like?
Yeah, I've been around them, not too much though, but the talents they have, and um, I mean, with Coach Reid and the way Coach Reid treats them and stuff, it's just brings joy to me because he's like a father figure to them, and they love the coach. They love Coach Reid, and they want to play hard for the Coach Reid. And he's not a rah rah guy. I just love the way he handles the players, the players, and it's one of those things, man. 7 years, five Super Bowls appearances, won three and lost two, and seven AFC appearances. It's just incredible. I haven't seen any other team do it. I mean, New England did it, but not that straight in a row.
It's interesting. People always seem to love Coach Reid, and I don't know if you know this, but Coach Reid was Brett's quarterback coach at one point in time, and there's a clip of them where Brett makes the wrong call, And when him and Reid are on the sideline, the cameras caught this. Reid said, "Hey, I'll go ahead and tell Coach Holmgren it's my fault." So he goes to Holmgren, and then the cameras follow him. He's like, "Hey, that was my fault." He's like, "What?" He's like, "It's my fault," and he took the blame, and Brett kind of laughed it off. But what is it about Coach Reid that makes him that guy?
That's just him. The way he handled that particular situation is just who he is. You know, he looks out for the players and he knows. So that's one thing. I mean, I love him. I love him as a man. I love him as a coach, and the way he's handling the players. You know, and it kind of reminds me of Bruce Arians too, who started his coaching career, NFL coaching career in Kansas City, and I got to know him real well. So coaches like that, if you treat players like that, you get a lot out of them, you know. So that's who he is, and the players want to play for him.
Mahomes went down with the Achilles. They weren't having a great year, and I think they were still kind of in the hunt for it. But then once he got hurt, and now with Achilles injuries, with all the modern technology that we have, peptides and stem cells, exosomes, he may be able to bounce back. But do you think that with such a big injury like that, that Mahomes will be able to come back from that?
Well, yeah, he will be able to come back from that, but I don't know when. You see, and we need him to come back, but not soon. You know, I want him to come back when he's ready. But you know, the reason I will say the reason why he got injured like that, you know, this is not coming from me, not from anybody else, is that Patrick Mahomes is our best player and is one of the best players in the NFL. When you put a pressure when you put pressure on that kind of player, your player, to be performing and bail you out in so many cases, something like that will happen. He will get injured, you see. So we had running backs, but we're not running the ball very well. So when you don't run the ball very well, it puts pressure on the quarterback. But I see what they're doing right now. They're um, taking care of that situation now. You know, we're having the signing running backs who can, you know, give Patrick Mahomes a break. You know, in order to do well in the NFL, you have to run the ball some, you know, to relieve some pressures off of your quarterback. You see, so I'm glad they're looking towards that.
Well, they just signed Kenneth Walker, the Super
Yes.
Bowl MVP, which should hopefully put that gap in. And you playing running back, what do you see about Kenneth Walker? When I watch him, he looks different. It looks like he's running slow, and then he just makes a move. It's something that I haven't really seen before. His style of running, usually a running back goes, they hit the A gap, they hit the B gap, they bounce it outside. But with him, it's like a ballet. He takes his time in his feet do kind of a pirouette, and then he goes.
I
What do you see?
know. It's that's exactly what I see too. I mean, when you give him the ball, it seems like he pauses a little bit or takes a little short step, trying to decide where to go, and it works for him. You know, it works for him. But one thing about the NFL is that that style of play will catch up to you because other players study players. You know, opposing players will study you and see your style, and they'll play you according to your style. So when other teams catch up to that, then you know what next. So I will see how long that will last. But I really, really admire the way he played in the Super Bowl. He was patient and he had speed and burst. So I hope it brings all that to Kansas City and plays the same way.
And they still have Pacheco back there who runs hard. He's run into some injuries of late, but they just let go or they traded McDuffie. Oh, what was the their defense? What are their holes in Kansas City's game that you think really need to be plugged up?
Well, you know, I mean, offense will help the defense and defense helps offense too. It doesn't really um, it doesn't really pay to have your defense on the field for a long time, you know. But if the offense can hold on to the ball by running the ball and mixing it up, they hold on to the ball for a lengthy period of time, like long series, then defense will get your wins back. And when they get back on the field, they will do well. So it kind of helps each other. Our defense, I never worry about our defense. You know, Spagnolo is one of those, I think, probably the best defensive coach in the NFL, and we have him. You know, he's with us, and all the players that we have, you know, believe in the system. So I never worry about our defense. Our offense, on the other hand, Mahomes is doing everything. And now that our team is thinking more of running the ball, will help him. And giving him some time will just be dangerous. So we'll see what happens.
Well, today in today's NFL, there's a lot more passing. The running back, it comes in spurts and flows. I mean, the running backs are undervalued, and then one year they'll be paid really well. Could you play today because your style was so bruising? Because the player that comes to mind of your style, and I think you would have a longer longevity, like you said, is a Derrick Henry. That guy
Yeah.
runs over more people than anyone else that I've seen in this modern day. I mean, he just takes their face and smashes it down. So, could you play, and do you see yourself, would Derrick Henry be the player you're most
Well,
likely
of
to?
course, of course. You know, I have to tell you. You remember in the beginning when you said they don't practice full pass these days. And that means they don't practice tackling anymore. You see, so tackling in the NFL is not that great anymore. You see, so that's why you see Henry run the way he is. They cannot hold on to him. They cannot tackle him. So they don't practice tackling. And it will be the same if I was playing today. You know, I mean, they can't hold on. They couldn't hold on to me when I was playing back then. But you know, what will happen today?
There's those clips, people grabbing you like the lions trying to take down their prey, and then you just keep on going.
Yeah.
What is it about today's game that do you think makes it safer? Do you think the Guardian helmets make it safer? Do you think it's the fact that they're not practicing as much? Is the game much safer in your mind?
Well, it's much safer in my mind. You know, first of all, the practices. We kill ourselves back then in practices because we hit more in practice than in the game. You see, when you watch the game, you see what was going on. That is nothing compared to practices. Practices were bumping heads for 3 hours straight, no commercials. You see, so today it's a different game. We have rules that you know you cannot target anybody. You know, back then they were killing quarterbacks. If you remember, you know, people like Joe Montana is you know his body is just completely ravished right now because of the way people played against him. Steve DeBow, who was my quarterback, yeah, they they killed him. He was murdered. You know, every time all the quarterbacks, man, I felt so bad because they were defenseless and people come full speed and hit them. You know, if you remember Jim McMahon, when somebody picked him up and slammed it on his neck, you know, I mean, that was it. That was the style of game back then, but you can't do that today. If you do that, you'll be suspended or heavy sign. So the game is much safer today than it was. You know, I know some people don't like it, they don't like it because they're not playing the game, you know. So that's how I see it.
There's fans, as you said, there's a fan sentiment that this isn't the same way of before. And for example, the Pro Bowl, I mean, they might as well just get rid of that thing because it's flag football now and these different contests. Whereas the Pro
Yeah,
Bowls that you played in, is they still were trying to get you down any way possible.
that's right. You know, when they took Pro Bowl out of Hawaii was when Pro Bowl died. I mean, it became watered down, and people stopped watching. And when people stopped watching, that's why they converted to flag football now. You see, so even flag football, who wants to watch flag football when football is there? You see, so not too many people um, are eager to watch flag football and the way Pro Bowl is being played today.
When the Super Bowl halftime performance was announced, it made a lot of news before, it made news during, it made news after. So, my question to you is, did you watch the Bad Bunny performance, or what did you do for the halftime Super Bowl show?
I watched the Bad Bunny performance, of course. I enjoyed the music, reggaeton. I mean, and then, of course, when you learn about the artist, it's just incredible what he does and the way he's taking care of people of Puerto Rico. It's just incredible. He's an incredible human being, very giving. He cares about other people. He cares about history of Puerto Rico and other areas. So that's one thing I like about him. I had to study who he is before the performance, and it made me even, more eager to watch the halftime performance.
Looking forward to next season, football is such a it's a multi-billion-dollar business every year. As soon as the Super Bowl is over, people are still talking football now. There's the trades, there's the deadlines, there's free agency, the NFL Network, ESPN. There's something NFL all the time. Whereas I would say 15 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, it wasn't like that. They gave way to baseball and basketball. Football is so big. So if we're shooting ahead, who are some teams to look forward to for you for next year? Do you see Kansas City competing?
Yeah, Kansas City will always be there. I mean, last year was just one of those years. I'm glad they took a year off, because they were going at it for 7 or 8 years straight. You know, that's a lot of football. That's a lot of extra football. You see, so taking a year off this last year, not making the playoffs, is a blessing in disguise, I think. But this year, I think we'll come back and play like we've done in the past.
Christian, my Hail Mary question to you is this. Will Patrick Mahomes one day surpass Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback of all time?
Man, that's hard to say. That is very hard to say because uh, football is football. But I will say yes because of the way football is played today. Tom Brady played half of his career. It was played during the era that quarterbacks were taking a lot of hits. And he still survived. So, and he had knee injuries like Patrick is nursing right now, and he came out of it doing very, very well. So I think Patrick will do very well. So the way the Chiefs are, signing free agents and constructing the team, I think Patrick Mahomes will survive and get there.
And just because it's you, I have one more Hail Mary question, which I never have. But
Okay.
my final Hail Mary question is this: since you attend the home games at Kansas City, are you a Swiftie, and does Taylor Swift bring some type of divide to that team when she's there with the distraction because of Travis Kelce?
No, I love Taylor Swift, and I love her music, and people love her. She's a wonderful human being. I've never met her, but I've studied who she is and how she treats people, how she treats her employees, which is extremely important. It tells you are who you are by how you treat your people, and she treats everybody nicely, even strangers. So I love her for that.
Nigerian Nightmare, Mr. Christian Okoye. I appreciate you coming on Fourth and Favre, and we got to do this again.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for having me. And send me a link to that Concourse movie because I haven't watched it yet.
You might forget. That's the thing. Every time I see you, I've seen you a couple of Super Bowls, and I told you about it, and you're like, "Okay, yeah, I'll watch it." And then I
Mhm.
see you a couple of years later, you're like, "Hey, send it to me again," but I'll send it to you once again.
Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate it.